Dear
kids.
shake yourself loose real quick. Your whole beard was going for wow. Dear kids, milestones. So the last time we talked, we told our story, and today the next part of our story pretty instantly became kids because we got engaged, we got married, we were pregnant with our son within 6 months, our oldest, and we have 5, and he's 10 now. So we are by no means professionals, as previously mentioned. However, there's a couple of things that we've learned.
I'm a professional.
He's a professional. I'm not a professional unless I'm telling him what to do, and then I'm the professional.
Yes.
But we've learned about timing and about rushing, and so we want to share that here so that when our kids hopefully someday become parents, they will have something to look back on to show them that A, they're completely normal, and B, it's okay to do your own thing. So the first thing that I learned about milestones was when we came from the hospital and our son was nursing. We chose to breastfeed. Didn't really know anything about that. I didn't have a lot of friends who already had children. In fact, I think we were the first couple out of all of our friends to have a baby for a while even.
And someone told us at the hospital that we were supposed to feed every hour.
Right, and so someone at the hospital had told us this horrible advice that you should never take, that we needed to feed our baby every hour and that we should wake him up to feed him. Now, our baby was a healthy baby, 8 pounds, 9 ounces, nothing wrong with that kid, nursed like a champ from the very first try, like it was great. But so we got home and we were trying to nurse all the time. And so that set me up for constantly feeling like I was doing something wrong. And so when he was about 3 months old, he started to have, some just like colic.
It's not real.
It's basically a cuss word in this house. But anyway, he started to have some issues. And so it started to make me feel like I was a failure. And so I got into that mindset of like, well, we're just going to switch to formula. Now, I'm not saying anything against formula or for breastfeeding or any of those things. But what I am saying is every single day, I was having massive amounts of anxiety and self-doubt and all of these things and trying to make up my mind. Like every 10 minutes, it seemed like I was trying to change my mind on what we were going to do.
And we were zombies because we were waking a child up every hour to feed them.
Right. And so at some point, I just had the notion to wait 24 more hours. And that notion has stuck with me through all of our parenting pretty much. If something seems really hard or really difficult, or we feel like we need to make a big decision, give it 24 hours. I even do this with my shopping now. Like I will load stuff into like my Amazon cart and I'll be like 24 hours. And if I don't think about it anymore, we don't need to buy that thing. So kids, keep that in mind if you're budgeting when you watch this. But anyway, so that is kind of something that we've carried on, and it went on into not rushing them either. So our first 2 children, we kind of read the books about like sleep training, and so we tried it. It was miserable, terrible. And our kids, like we were trying to push them into their own bedroom super quickly, which some children need and are ready for. Our children were not those kids. And so we were getting up all hours of the night, like taking turns back and forth to their room. And that was causing like just tension all the time. We were so tired. And
Like
so
zombies.
we were like zombies, and I expected more of him and he expected more of me. And I don't even think it was really like that. I think we were just so tired.
Why is she sleeping while I'm awake?
Yeah. It was really hard. And so the other things that we struggled with, like following the status quo or milestones with our kids were things like their pacifier, bottles, and potty training. So those all went horribly with our first 2 kids because they didn't want to give those things up right at 12 months like everybody else's kid. Which I found out later on down the road, everybody else's kid doesn't give them up. It's just like stuff you read.
Yeah.
I'm convinced people that aren't even really parents are writing all this material.
Yep.
So with our first child, we didn't pull his passy away, even though at his preschool, at 18 months old, they needed to be potty training and pretty good at it. No pacifier, no bottles. And so he was not doing any of those things when we took him.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked on the potty training, took a whole year. Like a whole year of accidents. Every day he would come home from school with his underwear in a Ziploc bag. Every day. And sometimes if Brad was working, that might get opened up and set to the side of the laundry room. I don't do poop stuff unless I absolutely have to. Like,
yeah. I'm Micro, the dirty job specialist.
Yeah, you do like the trash.
Yeah.
You clean the toilets. So like poop underwear is his thing, not really my thing.
Poopy diapers.
Yeah.
Poopy.
If it stinks really bad.
Yeah.
Or if it can get on my hands.
I have to do it.
Right. But that's how marriage works, right? I make the babies, he cleans the babies.
The
I feed the babies, he cleans the baby. It was kind of one of those things where, we struggled for a whole year. We had the little potties in every room of the house. Oh, we had to clean them. It was disgusting. And we didn't learn anything. So like with our second child, we did the exact same thing because they're only 21 months apart. And so, we started.
You forget that what you did before was wrong.
Was miserable. Well, I don't even think we knew it was wrong. I think we just thought we were really bad at it.
Yeah.
Right? And so we did the pull-ups, like all the things. And so the first time that I remember letting them lead in something was with pacifiers. So when our oldest was 3, he had chewed holes in his passy, and I went into his room and I said, look, you've chewed holes in this, and if you suck on this while you're asleep, you're going to choke. And I'm really afraid that's going to happen to you. And he was like, I don't want to choke. You can throw it away. Totally fine. I did not throw it away. I went and put it in a jar in the kitchen, and we probably still have it. Like 6 moves later or something.
Yeah, she can't throw anything away either.
Right. So I can throw stuff away. I just it was sentimental.
Yes.
So anyway, but he was able to understand what I told him. So it wasn't taking away something that was still his personal comfort. At that point, he was 3 years old and he had learned how to comfort himself or how to come and get us when he needed comfort because he was no longer trapped in a crib and things like that. But he was rational enough to go, oh, that would be awful, fine. And it was the first time that I was like, oh, well, why didn't we just wait to talk to him about that until he could understand what we were saying? It makes so much sense. And I didn't have to lie to him and tell him there was a new baby that needed it, or there was, some sort of fairy that came and got it, or any of those things. It was just like a normal conversation. Hey, dude, you can't have this anymore because it's going to hurt you. Okay. So we tried the same thing with our daughter, our second child, and she had been begging me, since she could talk, to get earrings. And so I took it. I said, hey, you're a big girl now and your passy's chewed up. We need to take it away. And so I left her room and she called out for me, Mom. And I was like, oh, great. She's going to ask me for this passy. But she was over 3 years old. And I went in and she said, I'm a big girl now. And I said, yeah. And she's like, well, then can I get my ears pierced? So we pinched her ear and tried to show her how bad it was going to hurt. We tried to scare her out of it and be like, it's so painful, and you have to leave them in and it's like a needle and all these different things.
But she's not afraid of anything and she has very high pain threshold.
She's not afraid of anything. If something does scare her, she will plant her feet and stare at it. Mm-hmm. She's so brave. Brad was nervous. He went and bought her cookies, thinking she was going to be sad and upset.
I cried and passed out.
That was during her C-section.
Yes.
When I had a C-section for her,
oh.
and you got really nervous and got passed outy.
That's because I saw your guts.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
She did it like a champ. So they pierced the first one, and she held her ear out. And again, it was that reinforcement of she's old enough to understand what she's doing, and this is age appropriate for her to handle. And it was beautiful watching her handle it. Mm. And so then when our third child came along, we did everything different. We wore him. We co-slept with him in multiple different ways. He wasn't always in the bed with me. We did sleep nurse, but he wasn't always in the bed with me. He was sometimes in a bed in our bed or right beside our bed, but we did co-sleep with him. So we co-slept with him, and I remember when my husband came home, because at the time you were gone 36 days at a time at the worst.
At the most, 18.
Yeah,
sure.
18 to 36. Not usually. It was usually closer, 26 to 30.
Okay.
You think about it with rose-colored glasses. I think about it as somebody who had a baby and 2 older kids, and her husband was in Guam.
Yeah.
But you came home and you were so impressed.
Yes.
At how different I was. and how different the baby was, and sleep was great, and he didn't even wake up in the night, like, not the baby, but Brad, because I didn't need him. And he would say, do I need to be helping you? And
Just for poop diapers.
yeah, just for the poop. And so, I was letting my baby lead. And when he was 6 months old, he was ready to move into his own room and sleep in his crib with complete confidence. And I truly believe that is because babies are designed to need their moms. And so the more I held on to him, the more that gave him that hormone rush of you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. And I think that's why you hear wise women saying babies don't keep. Hold your baby as much as you want to when they're a baby, because they're designed to need that from you so that they can go on and be a confident toddler. So we carried it into potty training. And when he was somewhere after the age of 3, we waited till the summertime so he could run around without a diaper on if he needed to. And we basically were like, you can't pee on yourself anymore. You have to pee in a potty. And he was like, all right.
Okay.
And he loved his underwear. He thought that was great. And it did take him about a month, but we were traveling. We traveled to Memphis for like a long vacation with my family. And so it did take him about a month. So we did it again with child number 4. It took her 3 days to potty train herself. Like, we were like, you get to wear panties now.
Yeah, that was the big incentive.
Right?
She got to wear panties, yes.
And so the next milestone, I guess, that we really faced is schooling and education. And one thing that I just want to speak to my kids and to anybody who's watching this is your kids will let you know. They will focus in on areas that they are naturally good at, and they're going to let go a little bit of some areas that they're not interested in. But the areas that they're naturally good at are going to bring them back around. So if reading isn't their jam, maybe try music or science, because then they're going to have to read about the thing that they like. And if spelling isn't their jam, but they love to tell stories, get them writing stories and let them learn how to spell through phonetics, like sound it out. And it's been a really beautiful thing, and it's actually taken a lot of stress off of us and a lot of stress off of our kids. And we learned that a lot of those milestones might be more about parental inconvenience. People always say, I'm going to save so much money when I don't have diapers, but we spent so much money on pull-ups for like a year.
Yep. And there's a lot less of pull-ups in the package than there are diapers.
Right,
So
a lot less. So you're buying more,
scam.
actually. Yeah.
It's a real scam.
I completely agree.
Yes.
That's a very good point. Solid point. So what we want to say to our kids is don't rush and enjoy your life, enjoy your kids, and go with the flow. You'll know when you need to make a change and when something, needs to be the number one focus. That's it.